Every United fan saw that team sheet drop on Saturday night, and for a second, you just stared at it. No Martinez, no Maguire, no Ligt, no Yoro, not one, not two. Every senior centre-back gone, and then you looked at who Carrick was putting at the back, a full-back, and a 19-year-old kid making his first start under a new manager at Stamford Bridge with Champions League qualification on the line. I saw people in the comments, I saw what was being said on Twitter, on the group chats. Everyone was writing the game off before a ball had been kicked, and honestly, I get it, I understand the fear, because on paper, that is a catastrophic situation for any football club. But here is the thing, United kept a clean sheet, Chelsea had 21 shots, 21, their expected goals were 1.55, United's was 0.29, and yet the scoreline was 1-0 to us. So the question I want to dig into today is not just about that result. It is about the player who made that possible, the player who nobody really talks about enough, the player who quietly, game after game, just keeps showing up in a different position and keeps performing, Mufc Mazraoui. And I think this conversation goes way deeper than just one match at Stamford Bridge. I think when you actually sit down and look at what this player has done since he arrived at this club and what he is about to become for us next season, it changes how you see this squad entirely. I'm Bella. Welcome to Bella MUFC Analysis. If you are new here, this channel is for proper football conversation, not headlines, not hot takes, real analysis, real opinions from a real United fan. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, hit subscribe and stay with me. And if this video makes you think, drop a like, it genuinely helps more than you know. Right, let us get into it, because I need to start with the situation Carrick walked into on Saturday. And I think it is important to actually understand the scale of what he was dealing with, because it is easy to say, oh yeah, United had a few injuries, but this was not a few injuries. This was a full defensive crisis. Lisandro Martinez suspended, Harry Maguire suspended, Matthijs de Ligt injured longer term, Lenny Yoro picked up a knock in the days before the game, ruled out quite late, so Carrick had to build a centre-back partnership essentially from nothing, and the options left available to him were Iden Heaven, a 19-year-old with 9 Premier League starts to his name this season, and Mufc Mazraoui, who is a right-back now. Most managers in that situation would be thinking damage limitation, park the bus, do not concede, try to nick something on the counter, play scared, and you know what? Nobody would have blamed Carrick for that approach. Given the circumstances, a point at Chelsea would have been an acceptable result. But here is what I found fascinating. Carrick did not play scared. He trusted the players he had. He trusted Mazraoui to step in and do a job in a position he has barely played in a back four at this level. And he trusted a teenager to be the only recognised centre-back on the pitch at one of the hardest grounds in the league. That tells you something about how Carrick sees this squad, and it tells you something about how he sees Mazraoui specifically. But here is the part nobody is really talking about. That clean sheet should not have happened. Statistically, expected goals do not lie. Chelsea created enough to win that game comfortably, but they did not score. And the reason they did not score is because Mazraoui and Heaven were genuinely good. Not just decent, not just fine for the circumstances, good, full stop. Gary Neville said it himself after the match. He thought there was no chance United were keeping a clean sheet with that pairing. No chance. And this is Gary Neville. A man who played over 500 games for this club, a man who understands defending at the highest level better than most people alive, and even he was convinced that partnership would be exposed. They were not exposed, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about Mufc Mazraoui. But let me go deeper, because I do not just want to say, oh, he had a good game, well done. I want to explain why this is harder than it looks, and why what Mazraoui did at Stamford Bridge was genuinely impressive from a tactical standpoint. Playing right centre-back in a back three is actually quite a familiar role for a right-back. The movements are similar, the zones you defend are similar, you are often pushed wide by the attack, you track runners down the channel, your angles and your positioning are largely the same as playing right back. It is an adjustment, but it is not a transformation. Playing centre back in a back four is completely different. In a back four, you are defending centrally. You have to deal with strikers running in behind you through the middle, you have to communicate with a partner and hold a line together. You have to be aware of balls over the top, through balls, diagonal runs from midfield. Your instinct as a fullback is to track out wide. Your natural positioning is wide. But as a centre-back in a back four, you cannot do that. You have to hold the centre. You have to stay connected to your partner. You have to trust the width will be covered by the fullbacks ahead of you. It is a different mindset, a different scanning pattern, a different set of decisions on every single phase of play. And Mazraoui did it against Chelsea under pressure with a teenager beside him. Carrick himself said it after the game. He said Mazraoui not really playing centre-back in a back four made what he did even more remarkable, and that he had to give the coaching staff enormous credit for getting the players ready for that. For me, that is the bit that stands out the most, because it means this was not just Mazraoui improvising. It means there was preparation behind it. There was coaching. There were sessions in the week where they worked on this. Mazraoui was being taught how to play a position that is not his natural position in one of the most pressurized games of the season. And then he went out and executed it. That is football intelligence, real football intelligence. And that is what I think separates Mazraoui from just being a utility player. Because look, every squad has utility players. Every squad has players who can fill in here and there, cover a position in an emergency, hold things together for 45 minutes until someone better comes back. That is not what Mazraoui is. Mazraoui does not just survive in different positions, he performs in them. And there is a massive, massive difference between those two things. Think about his journey at this club. He came in the summer of 2024, right back by trade. Erik ten Hag puts him at number 10 against Fenerbahce, number 10 in a European match with Bruno Fernandes suspended. And people thought it was madness at the time. I remember the reaction. What is Ten Hag doing? Why is a right back playing attacking midfielder? This is desperate management. But Ten Hag explained it. He talked about Mazraoui's Ajax days, his ability to play in half spaces, his pressing intelligence, his understanding of how to press from the front. And while I was not completely convinced at the time, I understood the logic. Now, a year and a half later, looking at everything this man has done in a United shirt, it does not seem so crazy anymore, because Ten Hag was not just throwing him in randomly. He saw something in Mazraoui that most people miss when they just look at his position on a team sheet. He saw a player who understands the game from multiple angles, a player whose football brain is not limited by where he was originally trained to play, and that is rare. Tell me if I am wrong here, because I have thought about this a lot. In modern football, the players who become genuinely valuable to a club at the highest level are not necessarily the best in their position. They are the players who can be trusted in multiple roles without the performance level dropping significantly. That is what makes a squad greater than the sum of its parts. That is what gives a manager real options, not depth on paper, actual options that he can trust when things go wrong, and things always go wrong in a long season. Now, here is where this all connects to something much bigger for Manchester United. Champions League qualification is essentially done. United sit third in the Premier League with 58 points from 33 games. According to UEFA's own qualifying table for next season, Manchester United are already listed among the confirmed qualifiers for the 2026 to 2027 Champions League. Think about what that means for next season. This season, Mazraoui has had limited opportunities, 9 starts in the league going into the Chelsea game, 40 games across all competitions for the club. Not enough minutes, not enough continuity, and part of that is the nature of the competition for places. Diogo Dalot is the first choice right back. That is just the reality. But next season, we are looking at a minimum of 60 games, potentially more. Champions League group phase, potentially the knockout rounds if we perform. Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. The expectation next year is that we compete seriously in everything. And that is when a player like Mazraoui does not just become useful, he becomes essential. Because Carrick cannot play the same 11 every week across a 60-game season. No manager can. Bodies break down, suspensions happen, form fluctuates, you need rotation. And rotation only works if the players coming in can maintain the level, not just fill a shirt, maintain the actual level of performance. Mazraoui has proven he can do that in multiple positions, in high-pressure games against top opposition. The Chelsea win at Stamford Bridge is not just one good result. It is evidence, it is proof of concept. It is Mazraoui raising his hand and saying, whatever you need, whenever you need it, I am here. Now, here is the question I want you to really think about, because this is where I have been going back and forth in my own head. Is it a good thing to be this versatile? On one hand, obviously, yes, we have just established why. Squad depth, rotation, reliability, it is invaluable. But on the other hand, is there a version of this where Mazraoui's versatility actually holds him back? Because here is the tension. The more positions you can play, the less likely you are to own one. Managers tend to build their starting 11 around specialists. They tend to slot in their utility player when a specialist is unavailable. So there is a genuine risk that Mazraoui spends his entire United career being brilliant when called upon and rarely being called upon as a first choice. And I think, if I am honest, that bothers me a little, not because I do not appreciate what he brings. I do massively, but because I sometimes wonder if Mazraoui, in a different situation at a club where he was handed a defined role and told this is yours, could be performing at an even higher level. Could be an elite right back, a genuine attacking weapon, not just a reliable squad option. But then I look at what he has done this season and I think, you know what, maybe the versatility is not holding him back. Maybe it is just who he is. Maybe this is just his genius, that he can do everything at a high level, and that is his gift rather than a limitation. And maybe that is actually more valuable than being elite in one position and limited everywhere else. Something to think about. Let me talk about the goal assist at Stamford Bridge, because I think the way United scored says a lot about how Mazraoui functions in this team, even when he is playing out of position. The winning goal came from Matthias Cunha, but what led to it? The build-up, the movement. The way United broke from deep, controlled the transition and created a clinical moment against a Chelsea side who were dominating possession. And Mazraoui, even while playing centre-back, was involved in the build-up play. He was not hiding in the defensive line, just trying to not get exposed. He was on the ball, he was progressing it. That is a quality that does not just appear when you put a full-back at centre-back. Most full-backs at centre-back become very conservative on the ball. They do not want to make mistakes. They stay simple. Mazraoui does not do that. He plays with confidence wherever he is. He trusts his own ability. And that is partly why Carrick and the coaches trust him so much. 139 touches against Bodo Glimt earlier this season when he played as a makeshift centre-back, 100% cross accuracy in that game, 21 passes into the final third, 95% pass accuracy, 8 ball recoveries, 5 tackles out of 5. That is not a player surviving in a position, that is a player thriving in it. And I keep coming back to that because the numbers matter, the eye test matters, and both of them are telling the same story with Mazraoui. Now, let me say something that maybe some fans will push back on, and that is fine. Disagree with me in the comments. I want the conversation, I think, when next season is over. When we look back on the 2025 to 2026 squad that returned Manchester United to the Champions League, the players who get mentioned will be the obvious ones. Bruno Fernandes, probably Cunha if he keeps this form going. The goal scorers, the creators, the ones who light up the highlights. Mazraoui will not be in that conversation, and I think that is deeply unfair because the players who keep a team functioning during a crisis do not get enough credit. The players who step in when everything has gone wrong, do the job, keep the clean sheet and walk off quietly. They do not trend on social media. They do not get the interview montages. They do not get the fan-made compilation videos set to dramatic music, but they win you points, and points win you seasons. Mazraoui has been quietly winning United points all season long. And what I want to see next season genuinely is Carrick finding a way to make Mazraoui a more regular starter rather than just the emergency option. Because I think if you look at what he offers in the right system, he could be starting every week and improving this team significantly. The question is where, and this is where I want your opinion. Right now, Dalot is first choice at right back, and I have no problem with that. Dalot has been excellent this season. But if Carrick ever moves away from the back 3 and back 4 hybrid system, if we see formation shifts next season with the added games, there could be a world where both Dalot and Mazraoui find their way into the same starting 11. Think about it. Mazraoui at right centre-back in a back 3, Dalot as the right wing-back. You have just solved 2 problems at once. You have your most versatile defender in a position where he can use his intelligence and his reading of the game. And you have Dalot attacking from wide with the freedom he needs. Is that something Carrick could explore? I genuinely think so. And this is the exciting part about next season. With more games, more options, more competition, we might actually start to see Mazraoui used in ways that bring out the very best of him, rather than just filling gaps left by others. Because there is a version of Noussair Mazraoui who is not just a squad player. There is a version of him who is a cornerstone of this team. And I think that version is closer than most people realise. Let me bring this back to Saturday one more time, because I keep thinking about Gary Neville, and I think his reaction is actually really telling. He is a United legend. He understands this club, this position, this level of football, and he saw that team sheet, and his immediate thought was, there is no way we keep a clean sheet, no chance. And what does it say that he was wrong? It says that Mazraoui has become something that even seasoned football people underestimate, and that underestimation, I think, is actually part of his superpower, because nobody expects him to be brilliant. Nobody expects a fullback converted to centre-back to organise a defence against 21 Chelsea shots and come out the other side with a clean sheet. But he does it, And that element of surprise, that ability to exceed expectations quietly and consistently, that is something money cannot buy. Carrick said he was incredibly proud of the players, of the staff, of the way they responded to setbacks, to the injury crisis, to the pressure of the occasion. And I believe him, because what happened at Stamford Bridge on Saturday night was not luck. It was preparation. It was trust. It was a player with an extraordinary football brain stepping into a different role and absolutely delivering. And as a United fan, genuinely, I could not be more proud of how he handled it. The bigger picture here is this: Manchester United are going back to the Champions League after everything that has happened at this club over the past few years. After the chaos and the underperformance and the seasons that felt like they were going nowhere, we are going back to the biggest stage in European club football. And when we get there, we are going to need every single player in that squad performing at their highest level. We are going to need nights where the unexpected happens, where someone steps in for an injured teammate and does not just hold the fort, but actually raises the level. We already have that player. He is quiet about it. He does not make big speeches. He does not have a massive social media presence. He just turns up, adapts and performs. Noussair Mazraoui. For me, he is one of the smartest signings Manchester United have made in years. Not because of what he costs, which was excellent value, by the way, but because of what he is. A footballer in the truest sense of the word, a player whose intelligence transcends position, a player who makes everyone around him better because they know he is there, reliable, ready, whatever you need. Next season is going to be massive, genuinely massive, and I cannot wait to watch Mazraoui in a United shirt across 60+ games in the Champions League era. I think we are going to see sides of him we have not seen yet. And I think by the end of next season, the conversation around him is going to be very different, right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, where do you think is Mazraoui's best position for next season? Should Carrick find a way to make him a regular starter? And did Saturday night change how you see him? Tell me everything. I read every single comment on this channel. If you are new here and this felt like your kind of content, subscribe, because this is what we do here. Proper United analysis, no noise, no filler, just real football conversation. I will see you in the next one.